Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about artist bios, which is a really, really important part of your brand. I'm going to be joined by Lauren, who is our in-house bio writer. Ask a couple questions, and then of course you guys can go ahead and ask your questions. This is something we've been doing at Cyber PR for a while. They should be used on all your social media platforms, as well as on your website, in an EPK, anything like that. I just saw Lauren join. Just gonna give it a minute. I hope everyone's having a really good Wednesday. It's midweek. It's the hardest point of the week, other than Monday. Let's see here. Awesome. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All
Awesome.
good.
Awesome. I'm loving the bandana. It looks awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as I was saying, this is Lauren. He is our in-house bio writer. If you buy a bio from us, he's who writes it. So we're just going to jump into some questions that I have written down, and then we can open it up to the comment section if anyone else has any questions. Cool?
Cool.
Awesome.
Do it.
Why is having a professionally written bio important?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. I think one of the things is that the music that there's a kind of two different answers to that. Maybe three. So like one of them is that when I look at a bio, I look at an artist bio as having three components. It has like a human interest story, and it has kind of like a like what the music sounds like, the music feels like, and it has a marketing one sheet component. So when I write a bio, I integrate those three components into a bio. So if a musician has a bio, they have kind of a very powerful tool in the marketing because they have a human interest story. They have, what the music sounds like. And they also have a, just all their accolades kind of smoothly integrated. But also in a more like kind of like human way, we want to be close to the music that we love. You think about, about 10 years ago, people talked about how artists like, autobiographies are the new gold record because people love to hear the stories behind the songs. Right. So if you're an artist, you're going to get more fans when they know more about you and about the music. It's like, it's a chance to kind of pull people in, say, hey, I wrote this song because I was hurting, or I was having a great day, or I met someone I fell in love with. So it really humanizes humanizes your music. And it brings people kind of on your team, on your side, because they want to get to know you. So it's a window into into who you are more. And the idea of a bio is that hopefully it gets long-term fans so that people will go with you on your artistic journey.
Right. Absolutely. We've been saying that here for a while now, that, seeing the person behind the music is what's like super important nowadays, especially with social media. That's really what people want to see. They want to get to know you and your music, not just the music.
Right. They want a connection, and and that's how that's kind of how you fall in love. The more you know, the more you care.
Right. So, exactly. Yeah. Awesome. How long should an artist bio be?
Okay, so a standard artist bio should be 900 words, which is like Calibre font, one page basically is what typically is what I do as a standard bio. I think that's like 7 or 8 paragraphs. Any more than a page is too much, and I call them artist bios because they're really a slice of life. Each bio has a specific story, and it's concise and impactful and emotional, or maybe it's funny, but it's just really like, it shouldn't just drag on about I was born, here, and it's not your whole life.
Right. It's not a book.
Not a book,
Yeah.
Hopefully you might make 4 albums and someone will write a book,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. What is a nugget and how do you find it?
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting when I do a bio interview. I'm transcribing as I do the interview, and there's always a moment that I'm like, that's it, and I always highlight it in green because I mean, to be crass, like, that's like the money shot. A lot of times, when I go into a bio, I don't go in with like, oh, this is a certain angle. I try to explore it with the artist, and so the nugget is the who, what, when, where, why. It's the point that ties everything together about this album. Like, what was happening in your heart and your mind and your life when you made this album. Everything kind of ties together from like the sound, your life, and all these kind of streams of things come together and culminate. So it's that one moment that codifies why this album now.
Right. Awesome. Exactly. What is your writing process? I know you just said you have that, initial call.
Yeah. Okay. So the process is, all right. So basically when I do a bio, I request background assets. Now that could be, what that basically includes is like, previous bio, your press, your stream of your latest music, career highlights, career timeline, everything that you have. Now, some artists have nothing. I mean, they're just, it's their first album. So it could be just, even just the album and a couple of thoughts that they have. The more you have, the more I have to go on. But, I study everything that they send me. I remember I was doing a bio and they sent me like 4 zip disks of information. I mean, it was crazy. And I have a mind that I can like remember all this stuff. So, as much as you give me, I'll study it all. And then I write down interview questions. And and then from there, and in the moment, those questions may shift because maybe you say something that leads me down a different path. So, and then from there, what I do is I outline the bio, I write it, I rewrite it, I rewrite it again, I rewrite it again, and then I send you the bio. And then from there, any edits that you have, I integrate in. So it's kind of like there's a whole process to it. But, I don't want anyone to feel, insecure if they don't have a lot. I mean, I write people who have never put out albums or people who have put out 50 albums. It doesn't matter.
Right. As a follow-up question, because that just happened to me, is that you said something that made me want to ask something.
Yeah, sure.
What do you do if there really isn't that much for them to give to you?
That happens, and there's a few things that we, in terms of like the story or the content.
I guess the content, I guess both, maybe.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah, sure. All right. So content, something, if an artist just has, this is my album, I can roll with that, because I can ask, why this album. Now we can explore the album, just like, tell me some stories about recording it. I try to, explore humor stories, emotional, serious stories, many angles as I can. We always find something. Sometimes, I mean, there's always a story there. It just it's a little bit of work to find it, So, I've had it. And sometimes there's artists that like maybe there isn't a story, and or a story is really private, and so somebody informed the album, but they don't want to like go out publicly with that, and I respect that. So there's ways you can intimate things that were happening in the artist's mind and keep an air of mystique or mystery about it, or you can kind of focus more on the sound of the music. I mean, the thing about that is that like we live in an era where there's so many albums a day released, and so the thing is that like stories are so important because they individuate. It's not enough just to have great music. So you really have to kind of keep prying away to find a story there. But I've done like I don't know, a couple thousand bios, and there's always a story.
Right.
I hope that answers your question. I hope
No, yeah, it did.
Okay,
that
cool.
was great.
Cool.
Ooh, what's your favorite bio you've ever written?
That's tough because it's like I feel like every time I write a bio, it's like that's my favorite art. I mean, I love people when they get off the couch and do something with music. There's a bio that I always remember that this woman I wrote a bio for. She was probably in her like mid-50s. She was like a newscaster. She was doing this, just because she wanted to do an album. And that was my favorite because like she was like kind of insecure, and she was like, you know, there's so much like there's so many isms in like it's like you know ageism. You're too young. You're too old. You don't look this way. You don't look that way. And to me, that's just bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like I just don't agree with that. And so she had a lot. She was like, well, I feel like I'm older, and I'm like, screw that. And we came up with a bio that just really had pizzazz, and it was authentic, and she was so happy about it. And I kind of made her a warrior to go in there, and the music was great. It was like it was great jazz stuff. So you know, I like when people come in and they're like, I'm not sure, and you know, I mean, I've done like you know big people's bios, and those are great too. But that's not as fulfilling, I guess. You know.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
She sounds like she was an awesome client.
She was an REO client. Yeah, she was side
Oh, she
client.
was.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
How many versions of your bio do you need?
That's a great question. I think that, you know, I think that like a long form is essential because, which is the one I was saying 900 words, because when you send yourself out to blogs, that's what they pull from. I have never been more plagiarized, you know, in my life. I mean, my bios appear verbatim on. So the longer you have, you know, people can just pull from that, and I'm totally fine with that, you know. So I think a long form and a short form is good, like a full length and a 3-paragraph, which is like 400 words. Those two are really good. Like, you know, the 3-paragraph one looks great on Facebook, and then the longer one is great on your website. So I think, you know, 3-paragraph and, you know, a regular standard. It's hard to tell a story in 1 paragraph. I mean, you can kind of do that, but if you do 1 paragraph, it's kind of like, you know, this person sounds like this. They live in this world musically. You know, they play with these people. It's really hard to cut it down much.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. How do you break down a long bio into shorter sections, like a 15-second, a shorter, medium?
Do you mean like
how do you decide what parts to not put in the medium version?
Oh, okay. So what I do is so I really love quotes. I love when I read a bio, seeing the quotes from the artist, you know, and so I feel that brings personality out. So the first thing that goes is I shorten the quotes, so I'll have maybe 1 quote in it, you know. So what I really have is kind of like I'll essentialize it, and I'll have like, you know, kind of like the story up top, you know, a summation of it, probably 1 quote from the artist, and just like, you know, who they play, accolades, you know, if they have it, you know, and what the album sounds like, you know. But it's like really you kind of will it down to like, you know, and sometimes even the story's not there, or it's hinted at with the idea that someone will go to the larger to get more information. So it's, you know, it's really like, you know, any accolades, a little bit of the story, and what they sound like.
Right. Cool. Awesome. What are the most appropriate places to showcase your bio?
I think websites are really important still. You know, I think, you know, they go in and out of fashion, but I feel like at this point, it's like great to have like, you know, you want to have your Instagram, you want to have Facebook, you know, because those are different demographics completely. And, you know, maybe TikTok too. But I think like, you know, a website is important, and you know where do words live at this point? They live on Facebook, they live on, you know, and they live on your website. So those 2 things are essential. You know, also I find bios are pretty good to blast out if you do email blasts. Even though that you'd be surprised that like people kind of disregard the email blast, but you know it has traction. You know, people still read press releases and stuff, and you could do, you know, you as an artist can just, you know, you can just blast out, you know, your bio. You know, if you have an email list or whatever, and that's really, and that I would use maybe the 3-paragraph one and a link to the longer one. You know, here's my new website. You know. Yeah,
that's a great idea. Also, we do a lot of EPKs here, and I find it super important to include the full length bio.
Agreed, totally. That's a good point too.
Yeah. Should you name drop famous artists you've worked with in your bio?
Okay, that's hard to answer.
Because I've heard it could go either way.
Okay. So I make decisions per bio when I do that. But like, here are the pros and cons. Like, you know, sometimes when you say I play with these people, you diminish your own talents because, you know, you're like saying, hey, look at me, I play with this guy, I play with this woman, you know, and it's like it's kind of like a little bit showboating. You know, I think when there's a producer, when someone produced the album of note, that you put up top, that's important, you know. But like, you know, people can get like side men, you know, side women to play on your album. It's just about money, and so everyone kind of sees through that. So, you know, I think that's one thing I would kind of be wary of. You know, who you share the stages with is important, you know, but I think that, you know, that isn't as impactful as other things. Like, I mean, to me, I kind of like, I'm really wary of that. And like, you lean on that, it looks like you're trying too hard. That's my opinion, you know?
Right. I agree completely. We've had, you know, some people who I'll do their website and they'll send me pictures for the gallery. And instead of it being like press photos or music photos, it's like photos of them with famous people. And
yeah,
it's just,
I think
maybe one or two you can put up there, but to have a whole gallery dedicated to celebrities, it's a little show-offy.
Yeah, and it detracts because, you know, you're this. I mean, in this world, you're the celebrity. You know, you're the star of your own show. You know, so it's like it's more impactful to have just you. You know, and also it looks more humble, which I think that like it's hard to say. I'm trying to be humble, but it looks more approachable and accessible.
Yeah, I agree. Do you need a new bio for each new release?
I believe so. And so here's my philosophy on that is I call them artist bios because they're really a slice of life on that album cycle, you know? And so every album that you do or EP or single, you know, a new bio is a new story. And yeah, that's why, you know, hopefully your life has many stories, you know, and like, you know, and it will, but I feel like, you know, it's like the same bio over and over again. It gets boring. And that's press, you know, they like angles, like a press angle, like, oh, on this album, this person worked with so-and-so, or this woman was having, you know, was going through this divorce and this is a divorce album, or, you know, certain things that you can really, you know, that's your chance to really, to spoon feed the press a story. So I think that every time you refresh your bio, you get more eyes on you, but the story becomes more exciting and it becomes more in the moment. And it's a new era. So I think a bio per EP, maybe per single, or, you know, you also do updates too, but really I think, you know, a new story each kind of release is really important.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I agree.
Thank you.
That was everything that I had written down.
Okay.
Do you have any, you know, general tips you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so I can think of things that, like, you know, I think a lot of I think sometimes, like, yeah, I always notice when I work with people who are like who are veterans in the industry, you know, it's like they don't overthink it. You know, it's like I think when you're just starting out, you can't overthink your bio. You're like, this is my one chance, it's my whole life, and it's really not a life story. It's really like a slice. So don't get too bogged down with like I gotta have everything in there. Like one of the things that I go with in bios is kind of the rule of three. Like have like a main story, maybe a sub story, maybe another sub story, but nothing more than three. Any more than three kind of main threads, people will just tune out, you know? So that's one thing. And also, like, think of a bio, like I went to journalism school, and, you know, the New York Times, they have articles, it's called like an inverted pyramid. It's like this. So the most important stuff is up top. And as you kind of go down, you're going to lose interest. Hopefully you won't. Hopefully the bio will be so good and your life is so cool that we read the whole thing. But, you know, up top and then, you know, is the most important stuff. And then as you go down, it's less and less important. So those are, I mean, those come to mind.
Awesome. I mean, people have really, really short attention spans nowadays. So definitely that makes sense. 100%.
Yeah.
If anybody watching has any questions, you can just comment away and we'll answer them. It's what we're here for.
Yeah, I want to hear from you.
I'm trying to think of any other questions I could just throw at you.
Trying to think of tips. Oh, you know, is there a question?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh.
It just says, what do you?
Okay.
I'm sure they'll finish it and then.
Okay.
There we go. What do you think of the one-line bio thing that's really popular right now?
I mean, that's kind of like that's kind of like an elevator pitch, which is, something that's been kind of happening for a while. And the idea of an elevator pitch is that, you say kind of who, what, when, where, why, and the time it takes to get to the 15 seconds, in an elevator. I don't think it's that effective because, the idea is that, like, I think an elevator pitch the effectiveness of an elevator pitch is it tells you where you live in a marketing standpoint. Someone's like, what do you do? Oh, I play rock and roll. I like the Rolling Stones and I like blues. So that, right. But, and that could be one sentence, but the idea of like a story in a sentence is really hard. So I think that's kind of like an elevator pitch, and it's a trend. I mean, so.
The only thing I'd say you really,
what about you?
The only thing I would say you really need that for is like Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
Like you need that short little bio, but you're really not going to use it anywhere else.
Right. It's an elevator pitch, and I think those are essential, but those kind of live in the world of like, who, what do I sound like and what do I do?
Right.
Which is kind of different from having a bio story, but it is a good asset. Someone asked some other questions, and I'm.
Serendipity asked, "Do you think that buzzwords lack originality?"
Buzzwords, I do. Some people, they're really passionate about having, SEO type words in their bios, and like I will always honor the client's requests. I just don't know how many times that I'm looking for some kind of music that I enter that into Google. I mean, and it becomes almost like. Your bio becomes like Gina's bio, like John's bio, because we're all working from the same pool, and it's just kind of like it almost kind of comes into it can make your bio seem a little generic and a little bit trying too hard. My preference is to not use buzzwords and SEO words. My preference is to be authentic and to kind of get what word, like I think of like Pinterest is a good example. Like what words and descriptions make you feel authentic with your music. Let's not worry about the SEO and the buzzwords, because that's just like those are trends, and then they also just date you and say like I am trying to follow this trend. So I try to keep things really fresh in terms of the verbiage, and also ask the artist what words feel good to you. Oh, I don't like the word sleaze, it's corny, or I like this word.
Right.
So
awesome. Lara Travis Music asked, she asked about telling a story straight up as compared to being more oblique and creating mystique with it.
That's a great question. Okay, so there are a few answers to that. One is that with that story, it's that if it's a really vulnerable story and you don't want to go public with it because maybe your family's going to read it, the mystique is the way to go. I never wanted to do a bio where someone feels that they're too vulnerable and too exposed, so I never want to do that. And you don't want to overshare and, just really, so, but I think at the end of the day, I think, kind of telling the story without the mystique that's the way I prefer, because people relate stories. People have identification. Like I relate to that, I lost my job, or like, I went through a horrible breakup, or, my girlfriend dumped me in that way. So I think, the more specific you are in a lot of ways, and, if you have a qualified writer, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to sell my writing, but like, it resonates with people. It's just like songs, they're like songs,
Yeah,
Okay.
It's all about storytelling. People want to
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Chachi, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, 68 asked, how in-depth should a bio be regarding each member? There's a lot of egos out there.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question, Andrew. I know that guy. He's a good dude.
Sorry,
yeah.
I butchered your username.
Oh, no, it's cool. Good question. So band bios are kind of a whole nother, can of wax. But like what I do when I do a band bio is that I do, I'll do a paragraph if, you know, the members are these people and then they've been in these bands, but that's it, you know. And I try to feature basically one or two spokespeople for the band, because if you have a full band, it really can be a mess. And like, unfortunately, no one wants to read 4 different voices, you know, and it's hard to navigate. So I, you know, pick like, you know, the front man and somebody else, like, you know, like the Mick Jagger and the Keith Richards, or, you know, whoever else, you know, the 2 people who are the nucleus, you know. And I feel like that's kind of the way to go. And just kind of, you know, you have to have the unfortunate conversation that, like, you know, hey, this is like a press leading thing and not everyone's going to be that person, you know.
Right.
That said, I just did a bio for a band called Blackstone Cherry, and all 4 guys I interviewed. So it's really, it's like, there's always exceptions, but is everyone, could everyone be a spokesperson that you trust for your band?
Right.
You know, and like, you know, you want to narrow it down, is every member, are they going to last forever? You know, they're going to be forever in terms of, so that's kind of my answer, but he can DM me if he has more questions.
Yeah,
or anyone can if they, you know.
Yeah, of course. Pamela Dennis asked, what do people really look for when reading a bio?
A story. You know, they look to be moved, inspired. You know, the most, and you know, I've been doing this for about almost 10 years, and the most impactful bios are ones that have a story. You know, have a real story. You know, like something that the artist like feels, you know, in their heart. You know, it could be a funny story, but you know, but really like a good story, because that pulls you in. Like, you know, I look at a bio as you know, when you read an article, the first sentence that pulls you in. You know, like I have a lot of people come to me like, oh, I'm doing my first album. I'm, you know, and like, you know, why did this happen now? I'm like, well, I was on the subway, I had this epiphany. That's a great story, you know, and that pulls people in. So a really catchy lead.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
What's the best nugget that you've found for someone?
Oh boy.
Just a really good one. It doesn't have to be the best.
Okay, you know what? Here's the best one I ever did, and this is funny. When I was a writer, I did one of the first articles in the band Maroon 5, and I wrote, this is are they neo soul's first rock band or rock's first neo soul band? This is when neo soul was a big deal,
right?
And MTV quoted me, and then on their second album, that was quoted on their album. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that was like a real, I'm really proud of that, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Pamela must have missed when we talked about like what exactly a nugget is, if you want to give a little more insight.
Yeah. Nuggets, like it's a hook. It's that one little summation of what you do, you know, like I was saying, you know, like Maroon 5, you know, neo soul's first rock band, rock's first neo soul band. This is on their first album when they were kind of like living in that neo soul rock world. It's something that just kind of, it's like, you know, you see nuggets on the subway when you look in the advertising thing, that one sentence that makes you buy, you know, Brooklyn linens. You know, I've done a lot of advertising work, and so that one little just money shot.
Right. Yeah, and using that as like 3 words in your Instagram bio, like that's a perfect.
Yeah, sure.
So
yeah, catchy. Like, you know, I mean, I've done a lot of ad work, and I use that in my writing work too, and like a really catchy, fun thing that makes you think. You know, as another. But then again, linking that to a larger bio is really super impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, awesome. If I was to get someone else to write my bio, how much should I budget?
Yeah, I mean, typically, I think bios are like typically in the 400 to 500 range. You know, that's what I mean. Like, you know, the thing about bios that you want to make sure you get something that's grammatically sound, you know, and it's accurate. You don't have to rewrite the thing yourself, you know. So I think that, you know, 300 to 500.
Thank you, Ariel. I was just looking that up. Looking up to see how much we charge for them. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Trying to think of more questions.
Yeah. Do people have any more questions, or Do you have examples of really well-written bios? Um, I mean, if you go to my website, Lorne Behrman, the work gallery, I mean, those are ones that I feel pretty proud of. So just my website, I mean, and RAL, cyber PR offers a great deal. Usually my fee is 500, but it's 450 through you guys. So,
okay. I'm trying to put your website.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you go to my website, Lorne Behrman,
cool.
.com. Yeah, there's like a work gallery there, and there's like a bunch of different. I try to put like a broad array of like band bios, artist bios, rock, hip hop, singer songwriter. Famous people, not famous people.
That's a fun one. What's your favorite genre to write for?
I like singer songwriters because they're more open to having a story. And they're more vulnerable, and like I'm a sensitive dude, so that speaks to my heart. I mean, it's ironic because like I'm a musician and I play like more aggressive music, but like I love singer songwriters. Indie rock bands are super smart. Hip hop artists, because like they're so concerned with like the lyric flow, and I love kind of getting in with the rhythms and the cadences that they're inspired by. Yeah. Classical crossover artists, because they really bring in like schooling, and they're really intellectual, but they also love to be accessible.
Right.
Those are a few.
It's cool. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love writing, but I don't know if I could tell as great of stories as you do. You write really great bios.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, we've got about 18 minutes left before Instagram gives us the boot.
Okay.
So if anyone has any questions, please feel free. There's the comment section down there, or there's also a little question card button you could submit that way.
Okay. Yes, that's a good question. I guess you have to write specific tones depending on genres. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that is true. It's actually like word choice is super important in bios. Like what sounds cool in one world sounds totally lame in another world. So you really have to be careful, especially like with I've noticed like with the EDM and like trap music and like different different subgenres of electronic music. Like there's really like a certain vernacular that you really have to know. And so I'm super conscious of that. One of the things I ask an artist is that I say, are there specific descriptive terms that you feel authentic, or ones that you hate, and so I'll really kind of ask around, kind of, to get, certain words that, and you'd be surprised. A lot of artists are like, yeah, I love this word, I don't like that word. So I do that, also like, I'm just like I'm a huge music fan. So, and I love like speaking different languages of music. So I kind of have an intuitive ability to know different genres. And that person also asked about prog rock, and I have done that too. I think there's another question, but it kind of.
I got it. Laura Travis asked, do you feel like artists often need an outsider's perspective?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the thing about a bio that's interesting is that maybe a question we can explore is when to do the bio. Do you do it, when the album's done? Can you do it before the album? I think a bio can be really clarifying to an artist, because it can kind of help you kind of brand what you do. It can help you like really focus on the market that you live in and the story that you're going to tell the press, and like how you're going to position yourself in the marketplace. So it can help with that. And then like I've done a lot of bios where the artist is like, hey, I have these rough demos. Can we roll? And like, yeah, let's do it. And like it helps them kind of codify how they want it to sound when it's fully produced. It helps them like, oh, I never saw it that way, or I'm seeing, so it can kind of dovetail into the creative process of making an album, and it can give you can give you a sense of branding. It's almost like an affordable way to hire a branding company, because you can get this whole different codification of your aesthetic. in one page.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I know we talked about your process earlier.
Yeah.
How long does that process usually take you?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Does it depend on the artist?
Well, it takes from the moment I interview them, from that moment, about a week and a half, I could bust it out in a couple of days, but I think the more time, if you want it done right, and so, I've had to do rush jobs and I'm okay with that, but I think about a week and a half is what you should allow from the interview, from the moment we interview, that gives me time to do my whole process. And then there's edits up to that, if you want edits. I mean, I think 90% time I hit the ball out of the park, but I'm human, so, edits are fine too.
All right. That's awesome. Someone, TA transition, asked,
Okay.
do you write bios for non-artists?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. And if you see on my website, I've done authors, I've done, entrepreneurs, I just love stories, and I love people doing things. So I've done a ton of CEOs, and it's all a story, it's all a story, and it's all making someone win in the marketplace, really putting their accolades in there in a smooth kind of refined document.
Right. Awesome. Amanda McCavis asked, should artists customize their bio for each platform, and will it help with engagement? I can actually have it go up.
Okay. What I say is that, hi Amanda, I know her, she's wonderful. What I should say is that, I think that having a three pair, shorter and longer is enough. I think you can do a one paragraph, as I said before, but it's hard to get it all in. But I think always having a way to link back to that long form bio is really the most effective way, because that's the best way to read the story. I can, when I do long form bios, for additional fee, I hate saying that, but I can make it shorter, or you can do it yourself. But the bios are organized in a way that makes sense, and you can cut them out to different bite-sized bits.
I'm trying to see. Yeah. Spotify allows 1,500 characters, but after that, it cuts.
Yeah, so that's about, yeah, and so yeah, and that's a good amount. I've been able to do that would be almost 300, 400, we're almost 3 paragraphs.
Right.
So that's a short form bio. So I've had some success with that recently, too.
Right, and that's not words either; it's characters. So you have to count for spaces and commas and.
Right. So that amount of characters, because I'm a nerd, is about 3 paragraphs. So think about that.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you, Amanda. This is cool. Anybody else, or?
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes. So if anyone else has any last minute questions, please send them in. This has been awesome, though. I love writing, so it's really cool to learn about, your process.
Yeah,
and how
I don't know if it helps to tell a little bit about my background as a writer. I don't know if that's something that would be
absolutely
effective. I could tell a little bit, and then someone wants to ask a question, we can pause that.
Yeah,
maybe,
absolutely.
I come from music. Is there a question here? No, somebody's okay. Sorry, I'm getting okay.
No, yeah, your screen is a little.
What is up with that?
I don't know. It turned purple and green.
It's beautiful, but why is it doing?
I'm not sure.
Okay, here's a question. Well, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Maybe if I move. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know.
I don't know. Should I rejoin and come back, you think?
Yeah, we could try that. Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Let's try this again. Okay. Add. Purple curtain.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Eddie Kova Music asked if there's any topics you recommend avoiding.
That's a great question, actually. Yeah, one thing I think is negativity. You know, I always joke that like a bio should just be really uplifting, even if it's like a dark music. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, you know, here's an example. Don't talk disparagingly about your last album. Like, oh, my last album was a mess, and like that's not a good story. You know, really, there's like really like anything negative in the bio, like you know. And I don't mean if you're making angry music, you shouldn't have a negativity based on the music, but like negative statements about things. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but like I try to keep things really like, you know, like non like controversial, I guess. But you can be political too. I mean, that's totally fine too.
Yeah, I mean, if that's part of your brand, then
Yeah,
I'd say go
I guess
for it.
yeah, just things that, you know, things that would be like just negative
Yeah,
in terms of your own career and other people, you know.
right.
If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
Pamela asked if you could recap on the process with your clients. Yeah, if you want to do that, you can. But we also, this is going to go up on YouTube later, so you can always look back on it. I know that Lauren kind of want to talk about his background a little bit. And we've only got like 10 minutes, so.
Yeah.
If you want to do like a brief.
Yeah, to brief recap of my process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, sure, of course. So I request, you know, background assets from an artist, and that could be wherever you're at is fine. Just send me as much as you have, you know, and it could be just stream of the album, and just, you know, a little bit of, maybe like a, you know, like a little bit of, like a bullet points of like I was born here. But it could be like, you know, here are 5 bios from my last album. Here's all my press. Here's 4 videos. As much as you know, as much as you have, send me. But if you don't have a lot, that's fine too. So through that, you know, I study that and I craft an interview, and then we do a phone conversation, a phone interview for about 45 minutes, and then from there, you know, I do an outline of the bio, and then I write, rewrite, and then I send it to you, and then from there, if you have edits, I integrate your edits into that.
Awesome. How many rewrites do you usually do?
About 3. You know, it's kind of like sculpting. You know, you kind of you know, you write one. I mean, it's a good exercise if you're a creative person, just to be like, I'm not going to worry about being good. I'm going to get it done, and then the next day I'm going to like make it like poetic or whatever. And the next day you just keep getting closer and closer to a higher standard. You know, so I just kind of hone in on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Yep, we've got like 5 minutes. Last minute questions.
Yeah, keep them coming.
But before that, I mean, you can, you know, talk about your background a little bit. And
yeah, okay. So if someone has questions, I will stop and we'll add. But you know, I come from playing music, and I used to just love to read music magazines. When I was a kid, that was my favorite thing. And I started writing for the school paper while being a musician. And, you know, I've been able to tour, you know, and to record albums, and that's kind of what I do when I'm not doing this work. And then I loved writing. And so it was a parallel thing. It was like both creative paths. And then I went to journalism school at NYU after graduating. I was a philosophy major, and I just started writing for, like, you know, in journalism school, I wrote for, I got a cover story in the Village Voice, started writing for Spin. And I was a full-time writer and a full-time musician, touring and writing. And my life has been kind of that way for the past, like, 20 years, you know. You know, so I come from music and from writing, I guess. So it's like, and then throughout my journey, you know, I've worked at record labels. I've been an A&R person. I've worked in, you know, different contexts of record labels. And so I've been through through all sides of, you know, the music industry. So I kind of bring that into my writing, you know, the writing, the journalist, the A&R guy, the music critic, you know, the musician. Oh, here's a question.
That's more of a distribution question. They're both very important. You should absolutely distribute to them. You get paid per stream. It's not much, but that's where people are listening to music right now. Yes.
Yeah, I would encourage people. A lot of people are, allergic to that, but that's where people go.
Mm-hmm. Anything you hear on the radio is only on the radio because it's on Spotify and iTunes. Unfortunately, that's the current state of the music industry.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, you definitely want to be where your audience is.
Nice. Yeah.
100%. Awesome.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It was so much fun. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. It's been great.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Thanks to everyone for your awesome questions and for joining in. Some people I know, some people I don't know. And, if you have more questions, I guess, find me on the internet or go to Cyber PR, hire me, hire Cyber PR,
Yeah, definitely. If you guys have any questions, you could DM us. You could DM Lauren, whatever works. Awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. Bye, everyone.